Alright guys, we're just about ready to start the next phase of the project. The doors are standing by. The car is standing by. We've got it taped up just in case of damage. So we'll obviously remove that tape once the doors are installed, so we can then check on gaps and that kind of thing. But it's just for the initial installation of the doors to get them fitted up. Just to be on the safe side. We don't want to make any chips in the paint if possible. We also have the table laid out with the hardware for the hinges. So here is the hinge hardware with a few extras standing by if required, along with the hinge gaskets. We also have all the ancillary items ready to go for the next steps after the doors are on. So the door check straps, the gaiters, we actually need new gaiters. They're actually in the mail on the way here. We need to add snaps to the tops of the doors. If I ever go back to a soft top, we're going to run a tonneau cover. I have a tonneau cover for this car, so we'll need to add the plastic snaps to the top of the door. Eventually, obviously, we're going to get to the door panels. So there's the panel fitting kit there. Then we're into shiny bits, so new door handles here and gaskets. There are the old ones and the locks. We have a lock fitting kit. We have the handle and winder kit from Good Parts to install, a new mirror to install, and then these items over here are for the Surrey top hold down at the rear. I'd mentioned previously that we're looking to find new solutions to the J-bolts that are on the car currently, and we're looking maybe to modify these to make them work. So that's all later tonight, starting around 7 p.m. Not probably going to concentrate on this too much, but we're definitely going to try to get the doors on the car at least, and maybe play around with the Surrey backlight a bit. That's really tonight's task, and I'll be happy if we are able to get those done. All right, it's 7 p.m. Actually, I think it's a little bit early.
Did I come early?
I think so.
Yeah, because I wanted to have a beer before.
Okay, so we are going to attempt to put the doors on that we'd worked on earlier today. They're pretty much ready to go. Everything is sort of taped off from a damage control perspective. So once we get them on, we'll peel the tape off because we'll want to see how the gaps are. So it's probably going to be a little bit of fiddling around. We might even have to take the doors off once or twice because they are new hinges. So the in and out, I'm not even sure if you can adjust the in and out with the doors on. Do you know?
No.
With the fenders on, no. So we're going to find out. So because I may have to, I put the hinges back basically where I thought they came off. But we'll have to wait and see how we do as far as adjustment is concerned once we get the doors on. So we're just concerned about getting them on without damage. Again, it's easier to do it without the fenders on. But the fenders are on, and that's the way I wanted to do it. So I wanted to leave the doors till last.
I hope the gaps come good, because if they...
The gaps are going to be fantastic.
Okay.
All right? Listen, they'll be fantastic after you have 5 or 6 beers. Be perfect. All right?
You know it's going to be 20 to 7 for a while, right?
Yeah, well, I'm working on your time, so time moves very slow.
It doesn't move.
All right. Well, I thought this was going to be a little bit easier than what it's turning out to be, since we'd pre-fitted the doors earlier, and we're still struggling with the gaps a little bit, so we're trying to add some shims here at the front. Not sure exactly what happens, but things change, so we're going to be a little longer job than anticipated tonight, that's for sure. So we'll do what we can do and try to get it as best as we can. It was fitting well before. I took it all apart, but now it's not fitting so good. All right, 10:02, and we're making progress. It's a lot more involved than what we thought it would be, or what I thought it would be. So we've got it looking pretty good. We've got the gaps pretty even on the front and the rear. We're going to probably bring the bottom of this door out a little bit, but we're going to put the other side on first and come back and revisit this. Other than that, it's looking pretty good. So we're just going to continue on. It's much better than what we started with, that's for sure. So we'll pick it up once we start working on the passenger side. Alright guys, just coming up to 11:30. Lynn's just left about 20 minutes ago, so it's been quite a few hours out here tinkering in the garage and making some progress. It's a lot more work than I expected to get these doors to fit back to where we had them fitting before we took them off for paint. So we've had to do some re-shimming here and there underneath the car, adding a few shims here and there, and we're still working on the passenger side, and probably need to do a little bit more work there tomorrow. So we're going to do another session tomorrow night. But we have the driver's side door fitting pretty well. Like I said, the bottom has to come out a tiny bit. You can see it's just tucked in, so both the front and the rear can come out a little tiny bit. And then that door will be good to go. So I'm happy with the driver's side door gaps. They look good. And a tiny little bit of a touch-up to do here. But other than that, no other damage to report so far, which is good. So we'll continue on probably tomorrow night, and we'll bring you back then. Thanks for watching. All right, Lynn's back. It's about 1 o'clock on Sunday. So we've got we've got the car on the ground, and we're doing some refining of the gaps, and we're still working on the passenger side fitment. We're actually going to move the door forward a little bit because we have some clearance issues at the rear. So we're just trying to get that a little bit better. Then we'll return to this side, and like I said, we'll move the bottom out and play around a little bit more with this, just refining this, but it's looking pretty good. Right?
Outside, yes. This one, we'll show it yet.
Okay, we're not even going to show the before and after because it's ugly. All right, guys, just coming up to 8 p.m. on Sunday evening, and we're just tinkering around on the car and doing some small jobs like adding the door handles. I haven't taken you around the car to show you the gaps yet. Lynn and I worked on them until about 4 o'clock today, so another 3 hours today, and we've got them to where they're looking good. They're the best we can get anyway. I would say that they're pretty good. So I don't know if you can see this very well, but we'll take a quick look again. The only damage we did was probably within the first 30 seconds, and we just put this little spot here, which I'm not even sure if it's actually clear down to the actual base coat. It might just be the clear rubbed. Anyway, that's a quick fix. We can fix that up. But the gaps are pretty good here on the front, all the way from top to bottom. Again, that's the thinnest gap you can run here without that fouling here on the front fender. So that is it. That's the best gap you can get on these cars. So that looks pretty good there. We'll go to the rear gap. I'd say that looks pretty good. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe a little tiny bit wider on the top, but not bad. So that looks pretty good. We also put the window up, and we've got it fitting against the hardtop section, and that is fitting right up against the seal. The angle of the glass is actually pretty good as well for a first fit. So that's looking pretty darn good. Obviously we haven't put the seals on yet, so it looks like we have enough room to get the seals on, which is a good thing. So let me show you the passenger side. The passenger side is not quite as good, not gap wise, but the sill fitment is not quite as good. Still a little bit of a sill stick out on the front and a little bit on the rear. We didn't change this sill, and I kind of wish I'd gone back and done it now, but anyway, it's not bad. It's much better than it was. But again, gaps are good. Pretty consistent here all the way up, and on the rear pretty consistent all the way up and down to the bottom. So yeah, we're happy with that. So again, we're just playing around. We're going to put the door handles on this side. Really not much to show you. There's really only 2 locations for the door handles to fit. One location here, and there's one bolt that goes in the corner here. I've had to take a little bit of a file just to file off some paint and clear coat to get the bolt to come through. On here I've actually had to just drill the paint out around to get the bolt through. So there's just really 2 fasteners that hold those handles on, and there's nothing to hook up onto the inside. As the way this works with the handles, let me show if I can show you quickly. There's a little tab on the door catch, and to release it, this little spring-loaded screw actually hits the tab and opens the door. So when you push in, that actually pops the door. So simple as that. The only 2 fasteners you need is this one here, where that threaded hole is, and this one here. And of course we've got the appropriate gaskets to put on the door as well. So we're just going to go in, like I said, we'll do a little bit of fiddling around to get this on the passenger side, but the driver's side looks good and operates as it should. Alright guys, Labor Day Monday night about 8 p.m. and we're just going to be out here doing a little bit of a power hour, a little bit of tinkering, and I think what we'll do is add some more bright work. So we'll endeavor to add the mirror tonight, and I think we'll add the door locks. I've just got my keys out to make sure I've got the right locks, or the locks that work for this car. I also have the door lock fitting kit here, which is a Moss part number, Moss Supply 402-195. So this is kind of an interesting new way to fix the door locks on the insides of the door versus the very primitive fastening of these previously, which was just these little two tabs that you'd sort of push in until they expanded on the inside. Well, those were fairly easy to pull out and never secured in very tightly, so this door lock fitting kit actually solves that issue. So we'll try to take a little bit of video of fitting that. That's kind of a little bit unusual, something I haven't used before, but I have seen used. So we'll take a bit of video when we go to install that, as that might be on your wish list. Alright, I've decided to move backwards a little bit on the project, and I've removed the front passenger side fender. Still wasn't happy with that stick out at the bottom of the sill, so we're working to fix that. I think the culprit might be this sill baffle plate, sealer plate, whatever you want to call it. If you recall, I had to trim it on the driver's side as it was pushing the fender out too far. So we've done the same here on the passenger side, and we're just about to fit this seal back on and see if the fender fits a little bit better and see if we can push it in to lessen that gap at the bottom of the fender to sill fitment. Hopefully that's going to be the solution, and I can then move forward again on the project. Alright guys, just wanted to show you that Moss installation kit for the door locks. So it is basically a large washer that fits against the inside of the door, and then you've got this sort of half moon locking piece that's got these set screws in it that you tighten with a screwdriver. So that's actually a lot better than what the stock configuration is, which is just a couple of tabs that sort of are spring-loaded that pop out and catch the inside of the door. Not very secure. You can also see where the lock mechanism gets picked up by the forks in the actual tumbler itself. So if we take a look at it off the car, I won't be able to really assemble this perfectly because I need to be able to have two hands. So there's the sort of the factory lock mechanism there. You can sort of see it, and maybe I can show you a little bit better on here. So there's what the factory mechanism is. It's basically these spring-loaded tabs that sort of, as you push in, then those pop out and they keep the lock from, well, supposed to keep the lock from coming back out of the door. So what you do on this one is once you insert the lock, you then want to flip the washer over the top, right? Okay. And then this piece here fits into a slot that's actually on the lock mechanism. Now I haven't quite decided which slot I'm supposed to be using. It does fit okay here, but I'm preferring to go a little bit closer in, so I'm going to, I've been using this slot. It's a little bit tighter fit. I've had to tap it in with a hammer once it's installed inside the door, but that seems to work well for me. And then all you do is you reach through the door. It's obviously upside down because I need to bit the tabs, but you can see these are threaded and they have a slot for a screwdriver. So once this is banged in here, then you can then tighten the set screws against the washer, and that will keep the lock mechanism in the door under pressure. Hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of hard to describe it and show it, but that's what that's all about. Alright guys, door locks are installed on both sides. I don't know if I showed you the mirror or not, but the mirror is installed. It needs to be tightened a little bit more, but other than that, it's in there. So this is a combination of old top and old glass and new stock. So I thought that was the best solution. I do like the old writing on the back, the Wingard, made in England label on the back of that. So we went with that, just polished it up a little bit. So anyway, we're going to do a bit more polishing here now. We're going to do the same process we did on the trim strips as we did before. So the 3000 grit, we've got a new Trizac foam disc. And I'll do a little bit of detailer for some lubrication, and then we're going to hit it with the the Mother's Mag and aluminum polish after to finish this off. We do need to add our rivet clips, so we're getting warmed up to do that. So wish me luck. I'm not going to video it this time. I'll just show you the before without the trim strip, and we'll come back and we'll show you with the trim strip, and hopefully no damage. All right, definitely looking like we're in for a storm. Just coming up to 7 p.m. and definitely getting windier and darker out, and I think I can hear thunder in the distance, maybe even a little bit of lightning. Anyway, trim strips are on, so they look good, I think. Polished up nicely, a few little dents here and there, but hey, again, it's a driver, not a concours car, so these are the original strips that came off the car. So no issues this time with the rivet gun, so we're getting a little bit more confident there. Passenger side went on fine as well. So that's looking good. Alright, on to the next job, whatever that's going to be. Well, not even 5 minutes since the last time we spoke. And definitely in for a good storm, so time to batten down the hatches and go inside for a bit. Boy. Holy cow. Hail. Wow. Alright, I'm going in. Alright, just coming up to 8 p.m. on Tuesday evening. And the storm has passed. It's just sprinkling out now. So that was quite the burst there for a little bit. You can tell by all the leaves on my truck how hard the wind was blowing. Anyway, hopefully no hail damage. We'll check in the morning. Anyway, I think probably the last job for this evening is to probably put the hood popper on. I've been threatening to do that for a little while. So now that I've got a brand new one, let me find some hardware and we'll get that on there. We'll have to align it and I'll show you how I'm going to do that in just a minute. Alright, I think we're ready to close the hood slash bonnet. So I've installed a temporary safety release here. I wasn't happy with the one I installed. It keeps locking up on me. I was going to try to repurpose this old thing here, which I think is an old choke cable from something, but again, it keeps locking up, so it's unreliable. So I'm going to be changing that out. But I put something in temporarily just in case my regular cable doesn't work. And again, I've got a safety trunnion on the end of that as well. That's always a good tip. Put a safety on there so it doesn't pull through. If this one loosens, then it's going to catch this one. So anyway, to set this up, I've got a piece of tape over the receiver, and we have the spring coated with a little bit of grease. So we're just going to touch the spring down to the receiver, and we're going to see where that grease pattern ends up, because we want it obviously centered in this circle for this catch to work properly. So we'll go ahead and we'll just drop the bonnet and see where that leaves an impression. Alright, there's the impression that I've got. So it looks like it's a little over to the driver's side. So we're going to move the bracket up here over to the passenger side, and we'll get that aligned. We'll do the grease test one more time. Guys, the bonnet popper is now installed and operating as it should. So a couple of things. The first thing you might notice is that I've removed the safety hook. I'm not a big fan of the safety hook. Obviously it's not to prevent the bonnet from flying backwards while you're driving if it happens to open in the wind. Obviously it's a forward opening bonnet, so it's not for that purpose. My understanding is that safety catch is to hook here. If you have a frontal impact, it's supposed to keep the bonnet from going into the passenger compartment. Not sure how effective that would actually be. But I've removed it off the TR6, and now I've removed it off the TR250. I find it difficult to get my hand under the bonnet to actually get the latch mechanism to work. So I've removed it. So you do as you wish. This is my car. I've removed it from my car. I'm not suggesting that you remove it from yours, but it's no longer on mine. Alright, so a couple of notes on the adjustment of this bonnet spring. So you're going to try to get the correct tension to keep your bonnet down where you want it. So when I installed the spring, it was too loose and the bonnet was not closing fully. So there's two ways to fix that. Number one, you can lower your catch plate a little bit. So it is slotted and there's a bit of movement. So you can actually push your catch plate all the way down and then retighten that and try closing your bonnet. If that doesn't work, there's actually a way to tension the spring up here. You'll notice that the end of this spring is slotted, so you just need to screw that in to actually increase tension on the spring. If you still can't get enough tension, you can actually change. There's a lock nut up here. You can actually shorten the rod by bringing the lock nut down and even applying more spring pressure. So I've got it to where I want it to be. So we'll test it out, and you can see that it's looking pretty good. So it operates as it should. Just a quick push down. There we go. Looks good in this corner. Sitting right on the bonnet cones in that corner. Driver's side corner is a little bit high, but again, brand new seals too, so that could go down a touch, but not bad. Gaps are really good across the back. Have to put my pop-up vent in there at some point. We'll do that in the next few days probably. So that's looking good and operating as it should. So I'm happy about that. I think we'll call the night out here. So I've got a few things done on the car since the last video. So I think I've got enough content, small content anyway, that I can put a video up, and then we start a new one tomorrow when we get out here. Not sure what I'm going to do tomorrow yet, but we'll figure something out. The smaller stuff, the detail stuff, takes quite a bit of time, so it's taking me a little bit longer to produce these videos than it would be normally. Anyway, we're moving along in the project and we're checking things off the list. Things are looking good. Still have yet to get tires on my rims, so that's another job I need to have done this week. I'm kind of eager to get those on the car. So that might be done in the next couple of days. I checked the tracking on my bumpers, and they are supposed to be arriving by Friday, which would be a miracle if they did. So we'll see if the bumpers arrive. I'm looking forward to getting those on the car. So things are looking good, progressing rather quickly towards the end here. Pretty soon we'll have to finish off the wiring. I want to get everything installed as far as the bumpers are concerned, the fog lights for example. I want to get everything installed so that I'll have one day of hooking up all the electrics and making sure everything works. So we've got a little bit of work to get to that point before we get our buddy Alin to come back and help us with the electrical side of things. We'll finish that off. We've already had one day or one half day working on the electrical, and we'll finish that off with probably hopefully just another half day in the coming weeks. So that's it for now, guys. We'll leave you with that, and we'll see you back out here tomorrow. Thanks for watching.